Hi, everybody, and welcome to something that is from the distant past. The Black Hole in Space Friday program on Moohead Radio. I'm your host, the big and furry bovine. If you haven't been a regular viewer of Moohead Radio, you may not be aware of the Black Hole in Space show, where a cow reaches his hoof across the infinite space of the internet to find some of the stories that leave you shaking your heads in approval or disapproval. This is the Black Hole in Space Friday program. You will see how this works very shortly. All right. A. Freddie Kitchens had a press conference. He was asked if his players who were all getting sick have the flu, and Freddie said, I don't know if it's the flu or not. However, Freddie says that a bunch of guys are getting sick. How convenient! You always got to question the timing of illnesses, you know?
See, I warned him about, pulling a train on Charles Pinkett's mother, but hey, people just don't listen.
I mean, to me, it's unbelievable. Everybody's getting sick. I know I am. I'm getting sick of watching this shit every week. Okay. They asked Freddie if it's encouraging that Ricky Seals-Jones returned to practice after his illness, and that it may only be a 24-hour illness for players like Seals-Jones, Beckham, and others. Here's what Freddie said. Well, Ricky's has gone on for a few more days than that. So we'll just have to see what happened at the end. And then they asked him, is David Njoku sick? He goes, I can't answer that question right now. David Njoku, sick? I got a better reason for not playing him, but I'm not going to tell you what the fuck it is.
Like
and if the team, and if the team considered resting a few players who have played with nagging injuries this year, you've got 16 games. I don't buy into that. No. And then they asked him, hey, you got to toss a bone to Todd Monken and let him call plays in the last game? And he goes, no. Do you have a fucking brain in your head? No.
I'm screwing this up to the bitter end.
Oh, God. On the benefits to the organization of finishing the season strong with a victory over the Bengals, despite no postseason possibilities. Well, I thought there was still a chance we could get in. I missed something somewhere along the line.
Yes,
well, I guess putting our best foot forward from the standpoint of how we execute. I'm sorry. Now, I didn't get much sleep last night, but I'm so bored of him saying the goddamn how we execute speech that I just, can you imagine how many people, would have hated Martin Luther King if he had given the I Had a Dream speech 1,472 times? I mean, it'd be like, God, I think it's lost a little bit of its urgency and power, Martin.
So what's worse, the post-game of we got to watch the film, or Freddie Kitchens' press conference? I don't know.
But
neither's great.
Get this. Where have the Browns improved most from week 1 to week 17? I think there are several areas. We've continued to run the ball well. Now, you said continue to. We asked you what's improved. Well, it depends what you mean by improved. Our third downs have gotten better, longer, better. We've gotten better in the red zone offensively. We couldn't get any fucking worse. Defensively, we've continued to fight through some guys that are missing. And they continue to play hard, fight, and get better with their run fits and stuff. I'm quoting. This is what he really said. With their run fits and stuff. which is always a problem, especially with the way some people attack you in the run game. There are several areas special teams have continued to get better at covering kicks. God only knows we catch a lot of them, especially when the other team scores as many touchdowns as they have. Of course, we don't return them for fuck, but still, we catch them, mostly. We're up in the top 10 in the league in kickoff coverage and punt coverage. And we punt often enough so that statistic really counts. And our kickers have done a good job because, hell, they never get cold on the sidelines. They're already warm when they come back out. You know, I could go on with this. What are you looking for from tight end David Njoku in order to play on Sunday? We're going to play the people I think give us the best chance to win, even though we don't win. Now, I could go on. But I told you this show's a little different. Headline. Rural disconnect. Majority in Alabama counties don't have internet access. Rural Alabama and other southern counties inside of it struggle with internet access. The majority of households in 4 rural counties, including Perry, Monroe, Conkika, and Greene, don't have any sort of internet access, according to the census from 2017. According to experts, it doesn't matter because the bastards can't read anyway. Is this some kind of personal attack on me, Mr. Moohead? I don't see a connection here between my press conference, which you saw on the internet, but I couldn't get it. I couldn't see that on the internet. I don't know what the problem is. 82% of all households in the country have internet access. Yet 44% of the people in Alabama don't.
Something's wrong with my me pad here. I can't figure it out.
India has the internet now.
You know, it is one thing to say. It is, we cannot eat beef, but we have internet. I'd rather have the internet than the beef. I mean, Raji and Haji, the twins out there in India, they have, and they probably have 1 gig internet, and.
That's right. I never hear on the telephone, hey, y'all, this here's tech support. How to help you?
Yeah. Well,
they don't have it.
1 gig service in India, and I'm going to lose my gig at the end of the year. Thank you. I'm good at making people laugh until they watch my team play for 17 fucking weeks, and it ain't so fucking funny anymore, is it? By the way, in Jefferson County, the most populous county in the state of Alabama, 22% don't have any internet access. How about in Mobile, the home of Hank Aaron, Hammer and Hank? The number is 26.5%. In Montgomery, it's 20.7%. It's unbelievable. Alabama.
All the internet is at the college campuses then, or?
Yeah, everything around, the University of Alabama.
Alabama, Auburn.
That's right. That's right. I mean,
that's the internet right there.
Nobody else has internet at all in the state. Now, meanwhile, Freddie's still saying he doesn't really care whether he has a job next year or not, but Joel Bitonio has an opinion. He'll support whatever the Browns decide on. When the shark bites with its teeth, dear, and his teeth are pearly white. Yeah, there we go. Joel Bitonio is like
Bobby Darin. Back tonight.
Joel Bitonio, I don't know the motherfucker. Never seen him before in my life. Yeah, I mean, it's wasn't Joel Bitonio the guy who was trying to keep the locker room together? And he's like,
right now, he's just going to pull his best Forrest Gump impersonation. Whatever the hell you tell me to do, drill sergeant.
Here's what he says.
Jesus Christ, Gump, you're a goddamn genius. With thinking like that, you'll be a 4-star general.
By the way, Bitonio says he's tired of all of this. We really need to take a big step after this year, he said. It's like put up or shut up. We've had the chance now to get used to each other. Now it's a big off season of what is each individual guy going to do to take that next step. Bitonio will support whatever the Browns decide to do with Kitchens, including tarring and feathering, as long as it leads to the playoffs. I don't know where it's at or what the organization is thinking, Bitonio said. I just know I've been here for 6 years now. And I want to start winning. And Joe Thomas is like, fuck you. Fuck you, 6 years. Fuck you.
Oh, my beer.
God damn, 6 years.
Although it probably is worse actually being on the field and losing than watching it in a way. You get beat up physically and mentally. Slightly worse, probably. Probably like 30 for him.
Like everyone else, Bitonio's eager to find out if Kitchens stays or goes. You want to know who you're working with, Bitonio said. And in this instance, you really want to find out who in the fuck you're not working with. Obviously, we have an important game this week. You know, I want to do something else here because the Battle of Ohio, you know, I think that there is validity. So we'll go to this. The Battle of Ohio, Portsmouth versus Van Wert, Ohio. The true Battle of Ohio this week for all of our sports fans. What's the difference between Portsmouth and Van Wert? I mean, have you ever been to either of those cities?
Is this a trick question?
No, I'm being serious.
Can I have multiple choice answers?
Oh, I see. Steven's in here. I'll pop Steven in here.
Speaking of multiple choice answers,
nobody ends up in Van Wert unless they're lost. So help me God. And you know something? And nobody ends up in Portsmouth unless they're trying to escape West Virginia. It's like, get me out of Ironton now!
Now, what you hear in Van Wert is, hey, I thought you said Van Buren. They turn around and drive back and start again.
I mean, what would it be like growing up? It's like, I lived in Van Wert my whole life. Yeah, when we want to have a good old time, we just go a little south down the Lima.
Yeah.
You know, I remember when I was going to the University of Massachusetts, people said, you know, I was once at a town, was it Lima? I go, you were in Peru? No, they were in Ohio. Hi, Stephen.
Hello, Mr. Moohead. I'm watching the Cavs and the Celtics take on.
Yeah. How far are the Cavs behind?
They're down 18 with 2 minutes left in the game.
If anyone's up for grabs, according to Freddie, it's up for grabs. We'll talk about the Cavs.
Execute better.
Yeah. We'll talk about the Cavs later, a little later, much later, actually, maybe sometime in 2020. We'll talk about that. All right. So next is you wanted bullshit on Friday's Black Hole in Space show. All right. For one thing, he did strike. If you didn't see, Don Imus is dead.
Wow.
Yeah, Don Imus. Remember? I remember. Well, let me see if I can remember. Oh, got to get my voice down here. All the nappy-headed hose over at Rutgers. Yeah, one of the great moments from Don Imus's career, if you remember, the nappy-headed hose comment.
Yeah.
You know, it made me want to rush out and just start dating women at Rutgers. It really did on the girls' basketball team. Unbelievable. He died.
Only if you were another girl.
Yeah.
And only if you look like a man.
And Stephen
Or at
would
least like Stephen.
Stephen would watch that, and so would Brittany. They'd watch it together. In that polyamorous kind of way. Here's the bottom line. Here's the bottom line, Don Imus. All right. He did make a stop in Cleveland. He was at, I want to say, WHK and Cleveland Radio back when. And of course, he, was on in New York City. And 79 years of age, he got sick on Christmas and died the next day, And, you should never die close to the birth of the baby Jesus because you're going to get overshadowed no matter what you do. So Don Imus really picked a bad time to die. But yeah, the black cow of death probably got Don Imus because he was just fed up with the whole thing. But I said you wanted bullshit. You wanted absolute bullshit. Here is the greatest story of all time. ESPN had nothing to run, okay? Nothing to run. So they saved this story for today. The story of Notre Dame icon Rudy Ruettiger. It's almost too good to be true. Rudy Ruettiger is full of shit. Rudy Ruettiger, in this interview, starts telling stories, my God, that Baron Munchausen in the movie would be ashamed to tell. According, he was there in the manger scene. Appropriate for Christmas. I was there when Jesus was born, Rudy Ruettiger said. Get this. This guy is a fucking leech. He's nobody. He starts telling the story of how he met Elvis Presley.
Wow.
Now, that is not an indication in 1974 of how fast Rudy Ruettiger was moving up, but rather how fast Elvis was moving down. Yeah, Rudy, it turns out, met him because he was living in the Notre Dame field house. They cleared out 2 little rooms and made them dorm rooms for him and some other person. And he did all of the grunt work around the arena. And so he would work mopping up the floors and, mopping up people's puke in the arena, and he met Elvis and he gave Elvis a t-shirt. And he finishes the story by saying, and I heard that Elvis loved that shirt and wore it for the rest of his life. And it's like, no wonder he smelled so fucking bad. He wore it for the rest of his life.
Even Joe Montana called him out and said
No, that's what he was using for toilet paper the day he died on the toilet.
Exactly. Rudy Ruettiger's t-shirt.
Did you hear that, Mr. Moohead? Joe Montana called him out and said he was lying.
He lies about everything. And this story makes it, it's bad enough that the movie lives on. The movie is so bad, it's a shame that Sean Astin is still alive. Are you listening?
It's a great inspirational story, but when I found out it was a lie, it was all a lie. I said, oh, that's kind of messed up.
Now, here's the thing that you need to know about Rudy Ruettiger. If you saw the Kentucky Fried Chicken commercial where Sean Astin was doing the Rudy thing, did you see that commercial?
No, I didn't.
It was a KFC commercial where Sean Astin is dressed up like the Colonel, but acting like Rudy. And in the commercial, his father tells him to go out there and get him. That was the real Rudy Ruettiger. He got into a KFC commercial because he's a fucking systemic liar. Why people tolerate this guy, I have no idea. But the stories kept getting better and better. The whole story in the movie is really dubious to begin with. And like you said, Joe Montana called him out. He's 71 years old now, and he still makes a living, based on a half of a minute on a college football field. When he really did nothing.
Yeah.
Here's what Jerry DiNardo, a former Notre Dame teammate and current Big Ten Network analyst, says. He was my friend, and he was a total pain in my ass. This whole idea that the team laid down their jerseys for Rudy, what a fucking crock of shit.
How was he able to sell that story without all the other players verifying it, saying, hey, this guy's lying?
Because Hollywood is famous, just like the movie Hoosiers. The movie Hoosiers was predicated on an Indiana State Championship basketball game, but it wasn't decided in the closing seconds. It was 31-27. I'm not making this up. It was such a dreary game. That Hickory High School won the game, and none of the characters, including Gene Hackman's character, the coach, Norman Dale, didn't exist. He was fictional. He didn't exist. The guy who makes the winning shot, Jimmy Chitwood, didn't exist. Yeah, this is what Hollywood eats up, these non-true, biographical things. And get this, in 2012, Notre Dame football celebrated its 125th anniversary, but only a few former players were asked to speak. Joe Montana, Tim Brown, Jerome Bettis, and Rudy Ruettiger.
It was legitimate right up until then.
Yeah, I mean, the people who used to play for Notre Dame, I'm never coming to one of their celebrations again. Fuck them.
Well, Mr. Moohead, you better hope Rudy Ruettiger doesn't show up in Jimmy Haslam's front office. He might hire him.
God, the bigger bullshitter than Jimmy Haslam. It's unbelievable.
He's like, you're a guy Rudy for the Jut. You got Rudy for Rudy Ruettiger? That's me. Would you like to coach week 1 for the Browns there, buddy boy?
As for I get this. Here's what Montana said, but a group of guys did not go to the coaching staff to figure out a way to get, Ruettiger into a jersey for the Georgia Tech game. But how about the crowd chanting his name at the end of the game? Hell yeah, it happened, Ruettiger says. Man, if just my family and friends alone had done it, it would have been enough. But there was a group of students who started it. Because he was an asshole. It's like, asshole, Rudy, asshole.
Hey, Moo, you're getting a shout out from Sundance Smith.
I'm getting a shout out.
Yeah,
there you go.
He's been following you for 14 years, and he said that he wants to talk to you. I don't know if he wants to come on. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, we'll talk, Sundance. It's good to hear from you. Sundance, the guy goes way back on the way back hot tub time machine. Yeah. I mean, he knows what a black hole in space show is all about. For example, I mean, there is so much more to life than sports, folks. Headline. Disney characters say tourists inappropriately touch them. Now, this is a story that I have to save because
the world after all, huh?
I'm punchy because I didn't get enough sleep. But this story, I'm sorry, but if this doesn't tell you how inappropriate this fucking world is, nothing will. Walt Disney World employees who portrayed Mickey Mouse, Minnie Mouse, and Donald Duck each filed police reports this month claiming they were inappropriately touched by tourists. The woman inside the Mickey Mouse costume went to the hospital with neck injuries.
So is Mickey Mouse filing charges?
The first thing I thought of when I saw neck injuries. But no, a grandmother patted the character's head while the employees wearing the Minnie Mouse and Donald Duck costumes were groped.
Oh, gee whiz. Donald had it coming. He never wears pants.
I know.
I mean, he was asking for it. You know.
Now, this is great. The incidents come after a 51-year-old man was arrested in November after an employee portraying a Disney princess told investigators he groped her breasts while getting a photo taken. He said she was a princess, and she said that one day her prince would come.
Sounds like a Me Too info.
Darn near dead, huh?
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Like going through the application, saying, "Oh, by the way, I can't have photos taken of me because I have epilepsy."
But it gets better. This gets better. And I mean, I got to get my head together here because, okay. The same day, a 36-year-old Disney employee who portrays Minnie Mouse posed for pictures with a man and his wife from Minnesota, Tony the Calf. It had to be Minnesota. It had to be. Minnie Mouse gave the man a hug, and he groped her chest 3 times.
God.
She alerted her supervisors and identified pictures of the 61-year-old guy from Brewster, Minnesota. She decided against pressing charges. The funny thing is it wasn't the first time this guy's name had been raised by Disney World employees during his trip. He also had an inappropriate interaction with a cast member at the Magic Kingdom, although they refused to provide any details. Disney took some action to ban the guy who's a Disney Vacation Club member. He's a member in good standing here. Oh, my God. It gets better. On December 3rd, deputies received a call about a guest mistreating a costume character at an Animal Kingdom restaurant. Now, you have to just bear with me here, folks, because this strains even the credibility of Rudy Ruettiger. If you're wondering how we're putting this thing together, these are true stories and Rudy's are not. A woman in her 60s asked if she could kiss Donald Duck, the incident report said. Donald Duck agreed. But the situation escalated as the 18-year-old female employee playing Donald Duck in the costume said the woman began touching and grabbing her arms, chest, belly, and face. The employee moved toward another Disney employee for help, but the woman followed her, holding on, and then frantically, the 60-year-old woman put her hands inside the character's costume, touching her chest. This is a closeted 60-year-old lesbian who's feeling up a female Donald.
That's weird.
The best part of the story, and I'll just leave it at this. While it was happening, the woman's family was shouting for her to stop. When she had a taste of that lesbian lifestyle.
You forgot your selfie stick.
God help me. God help me.
It was a Disney episode, and the words Michael Jackson didn't come up once.
I gotta breathe. Next, in the black hole in space, because I don't give a fuck about the Browns and the Bengals. You know how they make predictions about the future, like what's gonna happen in the future, and they never end up being true? Things like, well, cars will fly by 2020, things like that. Mm-hmm. Freddie Kitchens, predictions. Here's some of them that were supposed to happen in 2020, all right? Computer chips will consume almost no energy. By the way, the i9, Intel's latest top-of-the-line computer chip, requires more than twice as much as a 65-inch television. How about this prediction? Ericsson Mobility estimated that 90% of the people on Earth over 6 years of age would own a mobile phone by 2020. Well, this is a little hard to figure. 67% is the real figure. But 9 out of 10. And what would it matter? Because if they lived in Alabama, never mind.
Yeah.
Jet.com will break even. Do you remember Jet.com? It was the startup back when. It was an online retailer. He sold his previous company to Amazon, but Jet would challenge his former employer by offering cheaper prices on products with a subscription that substantially undercut Amazon Prime. And to do that, Jet quickly started burning through more than $700 million it had raised from venture capitalists. The prediction said that it would break even. That was said on Bloomberg TV. Irving Bloomberg. I think it's gonna break even. It didn't happen because Walmart ended up buying Jet for $3.3 billion. And if you're wondering, Walmart is projecting a loss of more than $1 billion this year for its e-commerce division. I mean, the first 60-mile Hyperloop ride will take place. That didn't happen. Google's cloud business will eclipse advertising. That didn't happen. And more than 50% of the American public would vote. That's never going to happen. I promised you that I would talk about the Cavaliers. They got rid of Jordan Clarkson. Anybody on the panel have an opinion about this? You happy that Jordan Clarkson's gone?
Who's going to take up the 25 shots he jacks up a game?
Yeah, I mean, somebody's got to take those instead. Yeah.
Is it Jetty Osman? Every one of them?
I watch Jetty Osman play. And it's like Austin Carr, who they should continue doing the drinking game, because whenever he speaks, I feel like just drinking shots because it's just mind-numbing what he says. He said, Jetty's what I call kind of a stand-still player. But when he's moving, he's not real effective. It's like, well, that could be a problem for a basketball player, AC, don't you think? Have you watched? Jetty looks like a Ritalin child once he starts dribbling the basketball. Honest to fucking God. And now Jordan Clarkson, who did jack up God knows how many shots. And the thing was, they only played him 24 minutes a game, and he took more shots than he was minutes on the floor. It's just an incredible statistic. I mean, the guy is literally a human chuck-it-up machine, right? But the Cavaliers want to get a better look at Kevin Porter Jr., all right, who's 19 years old. And what did they get in return? Do you even know what they got in return?
And they got
Dante Raisinets.
It was Dante Exum.
Who?
He was
Exum, yeah.
He was supposed to be a star.
They are.
You know how many guys that are 12 to ranked 12 to 14 on their teams that were supposed to be stars?
Exactly. Yeah.
They're changing the name of the Rocket Arena now. Again, you remember it was the Quicken Loans Arena, right? Now it's the Rocket Loans. Now it's going to be Dante's Inferno.
Kevin Love hell on the Cuyahoga.
The mascot's going to be a lava lamp.
Hey, Mr. Moohead, who are y'all looking to get for Kevin Love? He did have 30 points tonight, even though you guys lost. But
you're not going to get very much for him. The guy's got a bad back, and there will be a team who is in the playoff hunt that is going to go after him, and will get more picks. And that's all that the Cavaliers are trying to do at this point. That's all we really got. I mean, Dante Exum, if you're not following the NBA, which I don't blame you if you aren't, this guy's been nothing but injured since first season. He played 81 out of 82 games, all right? But after that, man, it all went to hell in a handbasket. This guy tore his ACL. This guy tore his patellar tendon. This guy is averaging 8 points a game, 32% from three-point range. And it's a ridiculous situation. Dante Exum is not the reason why the Cavaliers did this. 2 second-round draft picks is what you got for Clarkson. And
okay, so we've got more towel waivers on the way. Great.
What? No, that's not what, what the Cavaliers want to be able to do is what they did with Kevin Porter, which is to take this mass amount of picks and bunch them together and move up into the first round. That's how they got Kevin Porter Jr. That's how they got him. And they figured this is the best strategy is volume, and then trade those people off to move up in the draft so that you can get, maybe if you give away 3 of them, you'll get 1 pick in somewhere in the top whatever, because you're lousy. And then, you'll get a second pick maybe that would be, if you're really fortunate, 10 through 20. So you're going to have a top 10 and a 10 through 20 or a 10 through 25. That's what the hope is by the organization. It had nothing to do with the value of Dante Exum, who has 1 more year left on his contract and quite honestly is just another trade chip when all is said and done. This is an opportunity for Dante Exum to play with a bunch of scrubs on the floor. And you know what it will remind me of is Sean Livingston, who I really like and was thrilled that he got to Golden State before they totally tanked out. But a guy who, with injuries, reclaimed his spot and his place. I thought that was really cool. Dante Exum will never be anywhere for the Cleveland Cavaliers, but maybe he can reconstruct his body in such a way that he's just not hurt all the time. But, I mean, it's been one thing after another for him. He's not played, I mean, very much basketball at all.
Yeah.
I mean,
speaking of futility in the NBA, I was just mentioning that the Phoenix Suns have 11 wins on the season, and the Golden State Warriors have 8.
say again.
The Phoenix Suns have 11 wins right now, currently in the standings. The Golden State Warriors have 8.
Jeez.
I mean,
remember when they only lost 8 games in the season?
that can't be healthy from a league perspective. That can't be healthy. You know, Dante Exum talking about not healthy, torn ACL, partial patella tendon tear, shoulder problem. You know, and his jump shot is unreliable. And you know what he's like? He's like Darius Miles in a wheelchair.
Or one-legged.
Yeah, we need that.
Well, look at the draft history. I'm sorry.
I mean, go ahead.
Look at the draft history of just the Utah Jazz. They were lucky to get Mitchell, but they Trey Burke from Michigan, Dante Exum back to back. I mean, look at that front office. They're lucky they picked up a superstar in Mitchell, but I mean, those picks of the NBA, I don't care if it's a top 10 pick, top 5 pick. Everyone's a gamble. They're 1 for 3 on great players.
Yeah.
So you trust the Cavs to get the great player from the draft that no one expects? I don't. Right now, especially.
Hey, Mr. Moohead, I was gonna ask you, Mr. Moohead, when is Zion Williamson even going to debut? Are they even just going to sit him out the rest of the year, or what's going on with him?
Look, didn't I tell you? Didn't I tell you about this guy having? And I hate saying pelican legs now because that's literally what he's got. But yeah, the guy is an absolute walking disaster. Who's all of his weight's the upper part of his body, and it's too much of that. And he's got these spindly legs. He's like Thomas Hitman Hearns. I mean, you can't play in the NBA up and down like that. And they can hold him out for as long as they want. They could have held Greg Oden out for as long as they wanted, and it would have ended up the same way. And I told you, when everybody was just going just absolutely apeshit over Zion, that it was like, you know, when I saw the minute restriction that Mike Krzyzewski put on him at Duke, believe me, Mike Krzyzewski would probably, let's pick somebody randomly in the chat room. X-Men Avenger 23. We'll choose him. They'd rape literally your grandmother, okay, to win at Duke. Mike Krzyzewski would violate your grandmother to win at Duke. And he was imposing minutes restrictions. And the last time I saw that in a college player was Greg Oden. If you remember, Greg Oden having trouble getting up and down the floor. It was like, if you remember, he had a cast on his hand and his wrist. Remember that was the thing with Greg Oden? That wasn't what I was looking at. It was him lugging it up and down the court. I say, his legs, man. His legs aren't going to carry him at the NBA level. And sure enough, man, his knee blew up.
And both guys have a weird issue with when they land. Greg Oden would throw his legs and land very, like, almost stiff on his knees. And Zion did it too, where they never learned to land right or bend their knees. They always kind of had a flashy landing on their dunks where it looks like they're going to snap every time.
Yeah, I noticed that.
LeBron is into yoga and Zion's into frozen yogurt. And that's the difference. I mean, Zion should be doing what LeBron does to try to, you know, get flexibility, and he should be building strength in the lower half of his body. And of course, they're not going to play him because, you know, I think it's putting off the inevitable. I really do. I think that they're going to carry him off the court because he's going to be an injury, waiting to happen. And these young guys whose athletic abilities exceed their conditioning, it is a real, especially in basketball, it's a horribly dangerous thing because once your knee goes in the NBA, it is really hard. I mean, it's one thing if you're the guy from Boston, what's his name? I always forget the guy who
Tatum.
No, the white guy.
The Utah guy.
Yeah, the guy Gordon Hayward.
Blow me.
As long as you're playing a slow down kind of system with Brad Stevens, maybe it'll be okay. But in the up and down NBA, look at Isaiah Thomas and his hip. You want to talk about a fall from grace? I mean, once it goes bad, it goes bad, man.
His knees got bad. Patrick Ewing's knees were drained constantly. Michael Jordan's knees were drained constantly when he was with the Wizards, and they built up with fluid over time.
Patrick Ewing had cotton balls on his legs by the end of his career.
And Sean Kemp, too.
His was weight related, right? Sean Kemp just got fat, and his weight could have held him if he stayed lower, but that dude gained like 40 pounds after a lockout.
Yeah.
And here's something I want to point out in the same, if you watch the program, there are many things that I say that never come to pass, but there are some things that from a medical perspective, I immediately raise red flags. Today's headline, LeBron James questionable with groin contusion. This is last year relived. LeBron James' body is going to be 35 years of age with the mileage. I told you all about this. The Lakers wanted the marquee name, and they get the marquee name. And LeBron, when he's on the floor, when he's healthy, is still an absolutely elite player.
Exactly.
But how long can it continue for? And already having missed as many games as he missed last year, and now missing games this year, for very similar reasons, it tells me that he has developed a weakness in the groin area, although don't tell Savannah that because no. Yeah, and X-Men Avenger 23 with the violated grandmother from Mike Krzyzewski says, look at Derrick Rose. And that's true. I mean, in a blink of an eye, it can all change. And a guy who's like the MVP suddenly will turn into a guy just looking to latch on with an organization. And the pace of the game just doesn't slow down. And let's not forget Joel Hans Embiid. That's right. Because,
and Elton Brand, too.
Who?
Elton Brand.
Yeah, I mean, it goes on and on. It's one thing to be 19, but you're not indestructible. And I don't even think that he's going to get on the floor. I really don't.
Back then, you could be 19 or 18 and wait till you're in your 30s before your knees give out. Now the game is just so fast. At 19, 20, 21, you're going to feel it faster.
Yeah, it's a big, big problem. You want to talk about a big, big problem? Cleveland.com. You want to talk for 1 second about the Cleveland Browns and the Cincinnati Bengals and the Portsmouth Van Wert Battle of Ohio?
Sounds good.
The Browns fans were asked, who's going to win the game? 41% said the Browns, 43% said the Bengals. More Browns fans think the Bengals are going to win than the Browns. And the Bengals have won one game this year. Wow. And it's all because of dumb fuck, no internet, manufactured home, dumb fuck, as big a liar as Rudy Ruettiger, Freddie Kitchens. It's just pathetic. I was reading an article today in the Black Hole in Space that you remember that Robert Kraft was arrested for a scandal in a brothel, in a hand job joint.
All right.
Do you know that shit's still going on in the courts?
Wow.
Oh, yeah.
He refused to plead guilty because at that point he'd have to admit he did something wrong. And he'd have issues traveling, so he's trying to not just pay the fine and go on any type of list, but,
I mean,
I don't know what you say. He's clearly guilty.
Well, yeah, but now they're trying to say, because it was multiple misdemeanors, they want to move it up to a felony and give him 5 years in prison. Now, wouldn't you love to see that?
I think it's maybe pushing the envelope.
Oh, it is, and it's never going to happen. But I would love to see the sisters.
I think they're desperately trying to get him just to plead guilty and go, admit you're wrong. But I think owners have an ego. I don't think Jerry Jones would ever admit to something like that or whatever. So,
no, because they all could probably be sent to prison for one thing or another that they've done. Jerry Jones, I know, for groping women right off the bat. He makes Harvey Weinstein look like a Boy Scout. I mean, give me a fucking break. But no, that's they're trying to get him on a felony. And it's interesting because one of the women from the hand job joint was really distraught in her testimony. No, Faraday, no, he fell on me. Okay.
You've been here for an hour.
Yeah, and he fell on me. See, he fell on. Forget it. It wasn't really worth it.
I mean, they were probably like, no one saw the video here. I don't think they released it, but it was like a 10-minute video. That's an easy 10 minutes, right? I mean, you pay for an hour, 10 minutes of work, you're done. He's probably a good client to work with, right?
How do you know he just didn't give up? It's slinky. It's fun for the girls and the boys. I mean, how do you know what really happened there? It was like the rubber weenie thing.
Arguing with a felony, there has to be like more than meets the eye of that story if they're trying to go that far.
I mean, he'd have to be funding it in some way. I think to get it
like he masterminded or something.
Yeah, or he organized. Yeah.
So we're going to do this now. We got to pick this game because you realize in the black hole in space, I don't waste time. I would rather talk about Donald Duck getting groped by a 60-year-old Madden crazed lesbian with latent desires until her trip to Disney, which still I don't get the connection of. It's like, you know something? I am a closeted lesbian. Why do I sound like Rosanna Dana?
I was going to say Dr. Ruth.
Why is it that I feel like this? And what brings it out in me is animated characters.
I mean, I will never understand what about Donald Duck would make a lesbian come out of the closet in her 60s. Oh, at the end of the story, they said the woman may have dementia.
Maybe she thought she was groping Daisy. Tied it all together.
Why don't you just take him to Chuck E. Cheese and just have him go on stage?
And Mr. Moohead, can we make two predictions? Can we predict the Browns-Bengals game, and can we predict if we think Steelers have a shot at making the 6th seed?
Yeah,
I don't care.
Well, let's start with Brian, who doesn't care. Go ahead, Brian.
Bengals 18, Browns 6.
And
all right.
And do the Steelers get in? Because our next hang-up won't be till Monday.
I don't care.
Well, I just want you to make a prediction. Do they get in the 6th seed?
They won't beat the Chiefs or the Bills, so it doesn't matter.
All right. Jake.
I think the Titans will beat the resting Texans, and the Steelers are not getting in, and the Browns will win 2017, and Kitchens will find a way to keep his job because he has 7 wins, unfortunately.
All right. Rick.
I think the Browns will win. It'll be barely, about 17-13. Pittsburgh will somehow sneak in and then quietly sneak out first round.
Wow.
All right. And Steven.
I think the Browns win this game. I'm going to go 24-10. I think they're going to go out with a blaze for the last game. Freddie keeps his job going into next year. And then Jimmy Haslam has a press conference where they all three sit together and discuss why he's staying another year. And I predict the Steelers will not get in the playoffs. It will be the Tennessee Titans.
All right. And as for me, I'm with Brian. I don't care, but it's the Browns I don't care about. And I want them to lose so that Freddie Kitchens will lose his job. And it doesn't matter if you beat that team, but I'm still going to pick the game that the Bengals will win 27-13 as Andy Dalton has his final moment of glory. And the reason I can be confident about this is it's not the playoffs. So Andy Dalton will look really good in that instance, and the Cleveland Browns will have given up. And if you want to know how bad the Bengals really are,
how bad are they?
I mean, if your backup quarterback, who's your young guy, is so bad that you're playing Andy Dalton at the end of the season, who you know will not even be on the team next year, then whoever that guy is, Audra Lindley, is that her name? What is
Ryan Finley?
Oh, Ryan Finley, yeah.
Oh, come on, Fish Basket. We got to make fun of you some more.
Honestly, I mean, Ryan fucking Finley, he of the 13 for 29 passing game that got him seated permanently. And of course, the Bengals now have the first chance at the quarterback, and they're going to draft Achilles Smith again. So, I mean, what the hell does it matter? All right.
Yeah.
The Rolodex.
Bengals are going to draft Joe Burrows. Woo, the birth of the new Bengals.
And I'll do my impression of Joe Burrows playing for the Bengals. What's everybody doing up there? All right. 27-13 Bengals win. As far as the Steelers, why, of course they're going to make it. I mean, let's be honest about this. I mean, the Ravens said, we're not playing any of our guys. Mr. Rooney, we're not playing any of the guys. NFL said, thank you very much. That's exactly what we wanted. And who is Tennessee playing?
Texans, aren't they?
Yeah.
And what's on the line in this game for the Texans?
Nothing. Just they could get the third seed if the Chiefs lose to the Chargers, but I doubt. But I don't see the point in starting our starters. Like, we can't play for a bye.
Well, here's what I think's going to happen. There's going to be an illness that is going to wipe out the entire Tennessee roster, and their children are going to have to play instead of them. and the Texans will run over, and it's not even going to be close. The Texans will crush the Titans, which will prove to all the fans in WWE land that they never deserve to be in the playoffs anyway. And what an amazing performance by Duck when they really needed it the most. And what a great coach Mike Tomlin is. Yeah.
And
the
then
Steelers will make it.
When they're sitting out Lamar Jackson. What a coincidence.
Yeah.
Not just Lamar Jackson, like 8 or 9 offensive starters are going to be sitting, and or offensive and defensive starters.
Mr. Moohead, I can guarantee you on Monday's show, if the Steelers do want to get in, you're going to see a bunch of quacks in your comment section. You're going to be banning every one of them.
Oh, no, not at all. I welcome all those people because they got to go into the playoffs with Duck, and that's going to be the most humiliating thing that they've ever seen in their lives. The entire term hot potato will mean nothing compared to Duck Devlin under a real pass rush. God help his soul. And Connor, by the way, is not even playing because he's perpetually injured. So could you imagine if Duck had to play in the playoffs? I'm actually hoping Pittsburgh does get in just so that little quacking cocksucker can just stand back there with no running game and just get blitzed into an eternal hellhole.
And they're playing the Chiefs too in the first round, the Chiefs.
Yeah, I mean,
there's a Duck I'd like to see get groped.
Yeah. All right, everybody. I kept my word. I barely spoke about the Browns. I barely spoke about the Cavaliers. And I barely spoke about anything that made any difference in your life whatsoever. But just remember, there are places that you can go. And this is the time of the year where, you think about not so much, we'll do this in a couple of days. We'll do the All Lang Syne thing, and we'll look at what happened in the year. We'll do that Monday.
Hey, Mr. Moohead, Sundance said he would like to chat with you for a few minutes once the show is over. He says it's real important.
Yeah, I understand there's something about, I think he wants to talk about something about DirecTV. And I'm not exactly sure, but why don't you do this? Because I don't want to do this in a studio, Sundance. I haven't used the online version of that. And just send me an email. Would you hear? I'll give you my email. Send me an email about this because I've got to take my dog out. It's pitch dark outside. And this is my email address. I want to make sure this gets typed in right. And just identify yourself and ask me what it is you need, and I will get right back to you. I promise you. But this is a funky time. I just got this dog. He's 2 days here. I didn't want to put him on in front of the camera today because, he's going through his trying to get adjusted phase into a very strange. He's a Sheltie. He's just like the other dogs that you've seen in the past. But boy, he's a strikingly beautiful animal. If you want to see him, as a matter of fact, go to my Twitter feed. I just put up pictures on my Twitter feed of him.
Is there like a young dog, older dog, like
8.5 months? I wanted a young adult male Sheltie, and that's what I got. He was going to be a show dog, and he outgrew it. He couldn't go over 16 inches. He went 16 and a half. And he found his way into my arms. That's and he a wonderful dog. He's cool, calm, and collected, and he's just trying to, figure out what's going on here. So I'm giving him every chance to get, organized. And Sundance, I look forward to your email. And everybody, thanks a lot. Like I said, we'll take Monday's show to look backwards. But the thing that you should be looking forward to in 2020 is where you want to go on vacation. And I would recommend any of the Disney properties because obviously you can have all kinds of fun and not get prosecuted. So what the hell? I mean, go for it by all means.
I mean, going between Van Wert and Portsmouth, but
that's right.
I may have to rethink this.
And join the vacation club because you get perks. All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. I'll be back with you on Monday celebrating the New Year's show. Until then, hasta la vista, Pastor Heads. Good night, Fred Scuttle.
All right.